Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show. First, I want to thank all my new subscribers and the people who are watching me. I really appreciate it. If you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. It'll help my channel to grow, which is starting to grow a little bit. And thanks for my new subscribers who are doing comments and writing back and forth. It's really great. I really appreciate it. Today's video is going to be something totally different. I recently did videos on my favorite all-time albums, my favorite double albums, my favorite live albums, and I was going to do favorite debut albums. But they're really tough to do. And I get comments, which I totally get. People are like, how come you only, I'm doing like the top 10 or top 15. And they're like, what about this? What about this? And they're right. It's all personal opinion, but I love those albums. So today I'm going to do two videos in one. I've seen a lot of people do videos where they just start showing their collections. And again, I have a huge, well, not huge, but pretty big. I have about 5,000 physical albums, vinyl and CDs. I'm not a digital guy at all. I'm pure physical. So this way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start showing my collection because it seems like people want to see my collection, but I can't just show 5,000 albums. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show a small chunk of it. But it's going to cover two things. I'm going to show, give or take, around 200 CDs right now and some vinyl. And these are going to be 200 or so, approximately, of my favorite debut albums. Then I'm going to do a follow-up video in a couple of weeks where I'm going to choose what I would have done originally, like my top 15 most important debut albums for me. But this way you can see part of my collection. It's all debut albums, and you'll get a feeling for who I am, the kind of music that I like. Without further ado, let's start going. Now, these are going to be in alphabetical order. I love all these albums, but it gives you a taste of all the kind of bands that I like. Out of the 5,000 albums, I chose roughly around 200 debut albums, which is certainly not all the debut albums, but a lot of the really good ones that I really like. So here we go. Starting with the letter A, I am going to breeze through this as fast as possible. So this video is not too ridiculously long. If it is, just take a break, pause it, and hopefully you'll enjoy it a little bit and check out my videos. And maybe it'll bring you back to albums that you used to love, maybe albums that you never heard but you always wanted to. All right, let's go. Starting with the letter A, AC/DC, High Voltage, a great album. They're all great albums. I'm just going to breeze through it. Aerosmith's debut album. Of course, the one that's got Dream On and Mama Kin on it. Really good record. I like that. Angel. This is a twofer CD, but it's the one that's on your left. The Angel debut album with Tower on it, the Angel theme. This is also a two-up album. This was a compilation they put out after the Allman Brothers broke big called Beginnings, which was comprised of their debut album, the Allman Brothers Band, and Idlewild South, their second album. So, and you look on the left side, Don't Want You No More, Through Whip and Post. There's their classic debut album. I think it's absolutely amazing. Same theme, Greg Allman's first solo record, Laid Back. It's a really good one. Does a really good, different kind of cover of Midnight Rider on there. I already did this in my best albums of '82, a sorely overlooked album, and one that doesn't get nearly the respect it deserves. The classic debut from Asia, John Wetton, Steve Howe, Carl Palmer, Jeffrey Downs. This is a phenomenal album. The Beastie Boys, their classic, License to Ill. The Band, music from Big Pink. Hey, that's my dog barking. Music from Big Pink. This is a deluxe edition, remastered with bonus tracks. Bad Company. Always used to say, what's one of your favorite songs from them? Bad Company on the album Bad Company by Bad Company. This is a damn near perfect album. You can't talk about debut albums without talking about the Beatles and their debut, Please Please Me. The Jeff Beck Group, Truth. And this is a deluxe edition with bonus tracks. If you love Led Zeppelin, this is definitely the Led Zeppelin debut album before the Led Zeppelin album. Yeah, they're very similar in tone. Should have been with the Beatles. It got a little out of order, I guess. Paul McCartney's debut, McCartney. Lo-fi debut, but a great one. Pat Benatar's classic, In the Heat of the Night, with Heartbreaker, the John Cougar Mellencamp cover, I Need a Lover, My Clone Sleeps Alone, We Live for Love. After the Clash, you had This Is Bigger Audio Dynamite by Big Mick Jones. Really cool record. Really cool band. #1 record from Big Star. And this is one of those classic twofers with Radio City on there. Their second album. Let's keep going. The Black Crowes classic Shake Your Money Maker. What a great debut. And a great band. But I don't think they ever got better than this album, to be honest with you. This is a band that you may not know. This is Steven Wilson, of course, of Porcupine Tree and his solo career. And he did a couple of albums with an Israeli named Aviv Geffen. And this is their debut album called Blackfield. This, if you like progressive rock that's melodic and catchy and tuneful, this is an amazing album. In fact, this was in the top 3 albums of the year for me, the year it came out. Blackfield, by Blackfield, Steven Wilson. The great debut album from Blondie. Love this album. One of their best. The classic from Blind Faith. This is a deluxe edition. Eric Clapton, Steve Winwood, Ginger Baker, Rick Gretsch. Classic, Presence of the Lord, Can't Find My Way Home. This I did a video on it on its own. Blackmore's Night, which is Richie Blackmore and Candace Knight. After Deep Purple and Rainbow, he did this medieval kind of tuneful, very melodic music. This is an amazing album, Shadow of the Night. If you like Richie Blackmore, you like melodic music that's catchy and beautiful, you got to get this album. Ocean Gypsy is a cover of the Renaissance song, the band Renaissance. No Second Chance, Spirit of the Sea, Wish You Were Here. This is an incredible album. Another top 3 for me. The debut album from Blue Oyster Cult. Their first 3 albums with their black and white covers. I definitely like those British bands, and this is, hope my microphone's working okay. There is Blur, their debut album, Leisure, with the classic She's So High. Good record. I don't think they honestly get much better than this. The debut from Boston. What can you say about it? Damn near every song is perfect. More Than a Feeling is just amazing. You know, I don't listen to a lot of radio because I listen to CDs in the car. But More Than a Feeling is one of those few songs that no matter how many times you hear it when it comes on, it just sounds as good as the first time you heard it. But the rest of the album is perfect as well. Boston, such a unique sound, amazing album. Let's keep going. I think I did a video on this too. The one and only album from Buckingham Nicks. This is what got them discovered and put into Fleetwood Mac. And this is an amazing album. This is a bootleg. They never put this out on CD. But I have the vinyl. Just didn't feel like bringing it out. Buffalo Springfield. Their classic debut. Classic album for sure. Kate Bush, all of a sudden getting really popular in the United States, but I've been into her for a long time. This is from the box set, so the album cover is a little bit different. The Kicking Side. With the classic Wuthering Heights spelt wrong. Wuthering Heights. How do you like that? This was a Japanese import. The classic debut from the Byrds, Mr. Tambourine Man. And they took that Dylan song all the way to #1. Getting to Let Us See. I love this album. Kobe Kalat. Her father was the engineer, Fleetwood Mac, recording engineer. This is a great album, her debut, Coco. In fact, all her albums are good. This is a really good one with deluxe edition with bonus tracks. Progressive rock. This is Caravan. Deluxe edition with mono and stereo versions. Really good band. Do you remember this one? This is an amazing record. The debut from the Jim Carroll Band, Catholic Boy. Most people out there, you're going to know people who died. It's been used in a bunch of films. But this is a kick-ass album from beginning to end. As is this classic, The Cars, where another one of those albums like Boston, where virtually every song is almost a hit single. The debut from The Cars. This was like a top 3 for me as well. Tracy Chapman, her debut album is just incredible. Remember Fast Car, talking about a revolution. This is just a great album from beginning to end. The debut from Cheap Trick, digitally mastered version. As you can see, I'm a CD guy. These digitally remastered albums with bonus tracks, they're just amazing. I had them all, but most of them on vinyl. No offense, they're better on CD now. The debut classic from Chicago Transit Authority. This was a double album. Their first 3 albums were double albums, but they didn't get much better than this debut. The debut solo from Eric Clapton. It's a good one. Great one here, The Clash. Just took a long time for this to get released in the United States, and I didn't get it until after I discovered them with London Call, and then I got the second one, Give 'Em Enough Rope, and then I finally got this one, and Sandinista. But their debut from the Clash is a classic. As is this one, Songs of Leonard Cohen. Another remastered, beautifully packaged with a book in it. Nice stuff. Phil Collins. This is the digitally remastered mini box with a whole second disc of demos and live stuff. It's hard to take sometimes Phil Collins seriously. I'm a huge Genesis fan. He's an amazing drummer, great songwriter that he became. But this album's tremendous. Deserved all the success. And this is a classic, Elvis Costello. My Aim is True. This is one of many versions of this album. Allison. Wish. That's my dog. They had classic debut from Cream. Fresh Cream. I Feel Free. This is kind of a forgotten album, but this is a tremendous album. The debut from Marshall Crenshaw. Someday, Some Way. It's a great album. The whole album. Awesome. This is an acquired taste one. The first solo record from David Crosby. If I Could Only Remember My Name. This is a deluxe edition with DVD and all of that stuff. Really cool record when you're in the mood. This is a classic, the debut from Crosby, Stills and Nash. Pure classic. This was an artist I discovered right when she came out, and I'm a huge fan to this day. Sheryl Crow and Tuesday Night Music Club. This is the one, of course, with All I Want to Do, which is one of my least favorite songs by her. This is a great album, Strong Enough. Oh, tremendous record. Great artist. Crowded House. That's actually the hype sticker from the vinyl. But their debut album, and they're a really good band in general. But this album's got one of my favorite songs of all time by anybody. Don't Dream It's Over, but Something So Strong. This is just a great album from beginning to end. Classic, we get into the letter D, and Delaney and Bonnie, their debut album, Home. I'm a big fan of that band. Great band. This was an album I loved. Dido's debut album, No Angel. With Here With Me. Thank You. Whole album's great. Love it. Very different kind of album, even in its time. And one of my favorite bands of all time. I'm just going to, hopefully this microphone's not making noise. Let's try that. This is Dire Straits. And I did a whole video of Dire Straits' discography. They're one of my favorite bands. But to this day, this is a great, moody debut album. Not overly commercial. It made it big because of Sultans of Swing and Down to the Waterline. But it's a great, great album. And Sultans of Swing, still one of my favorite songs. Doesn't get much better debut albums than the debut from The Doors. This is from the box set. Obviously, super classic. He didn't make it in his day, but he sure made it later on. That's when I discovered him as well. And this is Nick Drake. Five Leaves Less. These remastered CDs with the books are just beautiful. And the debut album from Bob Dylan. Probably one of my least favorite Bob Dylan albums, but, you know, all acoustic. Wasn't quite in his songwriting prime yet, but it wouldn't take him very long. Let's keep going. The Eagles debut album. And Emerson, Lake and Palmer's classic debut. Eminem's debut, the Slim Shady LP. I think he's a super talent. His albums run a little long, but he's super talent. I did a video on this album. This is one of the great debut albums of all time, in my opinion. Fish, he was the lead singer originally of Marillion. This album from top to bottom is amazing. And if you're interested in checking out my video, look it up. I do a whole video on Fish, Vigil in a Wilderness of Mirrors, an amazing record. This is a anthology of the Flying Burrito Brothers, but their debut album is one of the greatest albums of all time. You like country rock? This is the beginning of it with Graham Parsons, and this is an amazing album. It actually goes from Christine's Tune to Hippie Boy. That's the whole first album, Gilded Palace of Sin. Dan Fogelberg, this is the threesome. I have this on vinyl, but his debut album was Home Free. Right there, that green one. Great album. As was this one. Remember Steve Forbert? Alive on Arrival. This is a great album. My friend got me into him. Going Down to Laurel, What Kind of Guy, It Isn't Going to Be That Way. From top to bottom, this is a great album. It was kind of rough for him, you know, being, he got tagged with that, the next Dylan kind of a thing, but it's unfair. Great record. Classic from Foreigner, their first record. Feels like the first time Cold as Ice, but I love Star Rider. One of my favorite albums from Frampton is his debut, Wind of Change, with Fig Tree Bay, the title track, his great cover, Jumper Jack Flash. This album is phenomenal from beginning to end. Classic from Free, Paul Rodgers before Bad Company. Great British band, Paul Kossoff, and great album. As is the first solo record from Jerry Garcia album. Classic for sure. It's got Deal, Birdsong, and To Lay Me Down, The Wheel, one of the greatest. Huge fan of Genesis, not their best, but it's still multiple versions out there from Genesis to Revelation. An interesting listen, kind of Beach Boys-ish, and it is. The first from the Jay Giles Band, one of the all-time great bands. I think they should be in the Hall of Fame. Everybody forgets how great they were. They just think of Freeze Frame, but great band. This was a top 3 album for me. Kind of forgotten band, but they were great. Didn't have a long run. The Gin Blossoms and New Miserable Experience is one of the all-time great debuts. They even gave it a deluxe edition. So, great stuff. Well, this album was good enough to get them in the Hall of Fame. The Go-Go's, Beauty and the Beat. That is the hype sticker from the vinyl. But this album's perfect. Great album. A band that I love, probably their worst album, but this is hard to find. This was their debut album. I'm from Long Island, and if you're from Long Island, you tend to love the Good Rats. Well, if you have taste, you do. Great band. Grand Funk Railroad, On Time, their first album. The Grateful Dead's first record, deluxe edition with bonus tracks. That's a good one. Easy, relatively easy listening for the Grateful Dead. Well, they don't get much bigger than this one, right? Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. I don't listen to it very much because, goddamn, they get played on the radio all the time. Even though I don't listen to the radio much, but they're always on. Steve Hackett's first album, Voyage of the Acolyte. He was still officially in Genesis when he put this one out, and I don't think he's ever done better than this solo. Great album. Well, George Harrison, I guess it's really his third record, but it's really his first real album. All Things Must Pass was a triple vinyl. A lot of versions of it now. This was the first deluxe edition of it. At least the first 2 albums are classic. Out of that. One of the greatest debut albums of all time, I think, is this one, Heart, Dreamboat Annie. Doesn't get much. This is top to bottom a classic, I think. Of course, you know Magic Man and Crazy on You, but every song on this album is great. And it doesn't get much more influential than the debut from the Jimi Hendrix Experience, Are You Experienced? Purple Haze. I mean, look at that. Wind Cries Mary, Fire. Whew, Foxy Lady. What an album. Everybody forgets about this, but Buddy Holly, what an amazing talent. He was a great songwriter. You know, Elvis was a great singer, but Buddy Holly was a singer-songwriter. And this is the debut of Buddy Holly and the Chirping Crickets. Look at that. Look at those songs, man. What a great talent he was. I love Buddy Holly. The first album from Hot Tuna. Mostly acoustic blues stuff. I tend to prefer, actually, their electric stuff more. You know, Yorma, Jack Cassidy from Jefferson Airplane days. The debut album from Ian Hunter. This is the 30th anniversary deluxe edition. Great, great album. From a talent that I don't think gets nearly the respect he deserves. Ian Hunter. Amazing solo artist. Even beyond Mott the Hoople. Joe Jackson's debut. Look Sharp. This album's another one, from top to bottom. My God, just amazing. Sunday Papers, is she really going out with him? Look Sharp. Great stuff. Interesting record. The first one, the Jefferson Airplane, Takes Off. This is before Gray Slick. But it's an interesting listen, come up the years. As is this one. I'm a huge Toll fan. I just did a video of the Toll discography. And I'm a big fan of This Was. Great title because it was what Jethro Tull would never sound like that again. But it's Jethro Tull as kind of a rock blues band. And it works really well for what it is. Talk about great debut albums. Local Lady, Joan Jett. Bad Reputation. This is an album that's also great top to bottom. And this is the bonus tracks on the deluxe edition. This is a tremendous record for sure. Billy Joel, Cold Spring Harbor. Not one of his best, but it sounds better on this deluxe remastered CD. And Elton John's debut, Empty Sky. Pretty good record. Skyline Pigeon, Lady Samantha bonus track. Not one of his best, but he had to find his way. Remember Ricky Lee Jones? Chucky's in Love. Good record for sure. All right, let's keep going. Yoma Kokkonen from Jefferson Airplane and Hot Tuna. This was his first solo record, and when I was in high school, everybody had this album on 8-track tape. Genesis, I'll Be Alright, Song from the North Star. This is a great acoustic album. Qua. King Crimson, their classic, In the Court of the Crimson King. Maybe they invented progressive rock. They certainly were at the forefront of it. It doesn't get much better than that album. The debut from the Kinks. This is a deluxe edition, one of my favorite bands. I have multiple videos on them. I do their discography and my go-to Kinks songs. Not one of their better albums, but they got to start somewhere. The debut from Kiss, when they were just starting out. Look at the track listing on this, man. Did they ever get better song-wise on an album than this album? Probably not. Needed better production, but great album. Sorely forgotten, and this pure band never gets the respect that they deserve. And I'm going to do a video on them one day because the Knack is a great, great band, and the musicianship is extraordinary. And this album from top to bottom is phenomenal. This is, of course, you know, with My Sharona, but every song in this album is great. And if you listen to them with an open mind, you'll be like, oh my God, these guys are phenomenal. The Knack, get the Knack. Cyndi Lauper's classic debut with the hype sticker from the vinyl. Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Huge album. What can you say about the debut from Led Zeppelin? Well, they took the influence of the Jeff Beck Band and ran with it. And this is a double CD collection of their classic debut. As is John Lennon's classic Plastic Ono Band. Raw, phenomenally powerful album. The debut from Little Feat, one of my favorite, not local, but not overly popular band, let's just say. Great band. They got better and better as time went on. Living Colour, remember them from around 89 or so? Vivid. Mick Jagger helped discover them and get them Cult of Personality. This was a good record. Love this one. Nils Lofgren at his best. His first solo record after Grin. This is a killer album. Song for song, just great. Remember The Lovin' Spoonful? This is a really fun record from the 60s. Do You Believe in Magic? And digitally remastered with bonus tracks. A lot of people forget how great this album was. Nick Lowe had two names, Pure Pop for Now People, and this is the other version of it, Jesus of Cool. Love the sound of breaking glass. Great record. I don't know, if you like the Velvet Underground, you'd probably like Luna. Not that they sound so much alike, but definitely influence. This is a great album called Luna Park. Really good band, Luna. Well, the classic debut, pronounced Leonard Skinner, right there. Tuesday's Gone with the Wind, Simple Man. This is a compilation that I have that has all their studio records, the Mamas and the Papas, but their debut album, which is, of course, if you can believe your eyes and ears, the one with the toilet bowl, great record. As is the debut from Madonna. She was really good, at least for me, those first couple of albums. This was really fun. I was in college when that came out. The Manic Street Preachers, unknown in the United States, but a hugely legendary brand overseas. And this was Generation Terrorist. Rip-roaring album. Amy Mann's debut, Whatever. I'm a big Amy Mann fan. She was in Till Tuesday, but she got much, much better as a solo artist. She's the real deal. Bob Marley's first official release in the United States. This is the deluxe edition of Catch a Fire with the two mixes, the original mix from Jamaica and then the United States mix. Classic stuff if you like reggae music. I'm a big Southern rock fan. The Marshall Tucker Band's debut with Take the Highway, amongst Can't You See, other great songs. Really good record. Speaking of Southern rock, Man, they made it harder rock from Southern Rock. Molly Hatchet, this rip-roaring debut, this and this follow-up, Flirting with Disaster. What a great run. But I love this album. This is great. Eddie Money, 2 Tickets to Paradise. Remember this one? But Baby Hold On, the Eddie Money debut record. The Moody Blues, well, their first real album. Days of Future Past with the orchestra mixed in. Classic. Nights in White Satin. Van Morrison's classic Astro Weeks. Really famous record, obviously. This is kind of forgotten in the Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young circle, but Graham Nash's debut, Songs for Beginners, is an amazing record. Commercial, catchy, great tracks. I'm a progressive guy, and Nectar, Journey to the Center of the Eye. This is Nectar at their spaciest, most progressive. Cool listen. New Riders of the Purple Sage, their classic Southern country debut album. Glendale Train, great album. Stevie Nicks' debut solo record, Belladonna, with the hype sticker from the vinyl. This is a damn near perfect album. Amazing record from Stevie. Oasis's debut, Definitely Maybe, with Live Forever on there, but classic. One of my favorite artists that nobody knows, Carla Olson and the Textones, Midnight Mission. Check out on YouTube a video of Midnight Mission. You will fall in love with it. She is the real deal. Number One Is to Survive. She's a great Texas artist. Carla Olson, Midnight Mission. Joan Osborne, Relish. Huge hit record. Let's keep going. Well, we're in the O's, right? O's got to have Ozzy Osbourne in Blizzard of Oz. He doesn't get much better than this, does he? Alan Parsons Project, Tales of Mystery and Imagination. Edgar Allan Poe. Really cool. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, of course, with Breakdown and American Girl and a lot of other good tunes. Liz Phair's big debut, Exile in Guyville. Some people say it's an answer to Exile on Main Street. I don't even know what that means. They don't resemble each other whatsoever, but really good record. This is John Phillips' solo debut, of course, from the Mamas and the Paupers. This is John the Wolf King of L.A. Hard to find CD, but good. Well, The Piper's at the Gates of Dawn, the classic debut from Pink Floyd. They never sounded like this again, with Syd Barrett. One of my favorites, The Pretenders' debut from 1980 or so, and this is a perfect album. And the deluxe edition with the second stuff with live stuff, amazing. Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, and On the Silver Mountain, Catch the Rainbow, great stuff. I don't know if you remember the records. Now, this is a cool version because the album had multiple versions, but this is the one with Starry Eyes. Cool debut album. Classic from R.E.M., Murmur. And another deluxe edition with bonus tracks and live stuff. Renaissance, their first album, Prologue. And Robbie Robertson, one of my favorite debut albums of all time, of course, the songwriter and leader of the band. And what a debut solo record he did right here. I did a video of late 70s debut albums focusing on this lost classic. If you have never heard the Tom Robinson Band, Power in the Darkness is as good as all of those other debut albums around that late 70s. You need to listen to this album. It's amazing. Check out my other video. Late 70s debut albums with the Tom Robinson Band, Power in the Darkness. Rockpile. Classic. Billy Bremner and Terry Williams and Nick Lowe and Dave Edmunds, their one and only studio record. Nobody ever heard of this guy, including myself, until somebody did a film of him, and then we went back and got his records, the 2 studio records. He's amazing. Rodriguez, and this is Cold Fact. His one of 2 studio records. What a great artist, and thankfully somebody made a movie about his life, because nobody ever heard of him, including me. The Rolling Stones debut in America, anyway, England's newest hitmakers. Mostly covers, but a classic. And this is a cool one, The Runaways, the Mercury Albums Anthology. But somewhere in here is their debut. It's in here somewhere. But The Runaways, there it is. That's what it looked like. This is a really cool kind of mini box set, but the Runaways are the real deal. Well, you can't talk about classic debuts without the Sex Pistols, and this is the 25th anniversary. Never mind the bollocks. Here's the Sex Pistols. Not one of his best ones, but it was his solo debut, Paul Simon's Songbook. And let's not forget Simon and Garfunkel. Patti Smith, Horses, her classic debut. Big fan of Patti Smith. Remember the Smithereens? This is a great debut album, especially for you. If you've never heard them, you should definitely check out Behind the Wall of Sleep. Great track, and Strangers When We Meet. Got a lot of play at its time. Bruce Springsteen's classic, Greetings from Asbury Park. If you were in the Midwest, and I wasn't, but they were pretty big in the Midwest, this is the Stanky Brown Group, kind of forgotten. Our Pleasure Is to Serve You. Kind of a fun record. As is Status Quo's debut, Picture X Matchstickable Messages from the Status Quo. And this is like a mini box set of them. Big fan of them. Steely Dan, I did a video of my favorite Steely Dan songs, and Can't Buy a Thrill is one of the great debut albums of all time. Stephen Stills, his debut solo record with Love the One You're With. Great record. As is Sting's debut, The Dream of the Blue Turtles. Man, this was a killer record. And don't forget the Police. I think I forgot the Police. Outlandos de Amor. Great debut. Joss Stone, Mind, Body, and Soul. Really good. I'm definitely into Britpop, if you haven't noticed, and I'm a big fan of Suede, or known as the London Suede. I think they got much better afterwards, but this was their debut album. Big fan of Rachel Sweet, and this was her debut, Fool Around. It's a lot of country stuff. She does some Elvis Costello, Stranger in the House, but this is a really good record. B-A-B-Y. A classic from television, Marquee Moon, and this is a deluxe edition with bonus tracks. Bob Marley I mentioned before. Well, I'll never forget Peter Tosh, and this is Legalize It, his debut record. Of course, he left the Wailers and went solo, and he's got a great career in my opinion. As does the legendary U2, and I gotta say, out of all of U2 albums, this is probably my least favorite, or October. I think U2 is one of the few bands that got better and better as they kept going, and even their recent albums are great, but U2's boy. A lot of people forget about UK, a short-lived, relatively short-lived super group in the progressive circles, but this is a great album. UK. And the Undertones, nice version of their debut with a ton of bonus tracks, as you can see. Teenage Kicks, classic. Talk about classics, well, Van Halen's debut. Huge record. Love Stevie Ray Vaughan. No doubt one of the greatest blues rock guitarists of all time. Love his tone, love how clean he plays. And Texas Flood was a pretty revolutionary album in its time. Suzanne Vega. She got big with Solitude Standing, but her debut record was really good with Cracking and Marlene on the Wall. A lot of people forget that. Most people don't forget the Velvet Underground, but their classic debut, the Velvet Underground and Nico. Here's a deluxe edition. And I am, like most people, a big fan of that band. And I'm a big fan of the Waterboys. And this was their debut album, remastered with bonus tracks, the Waterboys. From the Jam, and the Jam's one of my favorites, and I'm going to mention them in a little bit, but this was Paul Weller's solo record. And it's a great album. Oh yeah, I didn't mean to hurt you. Bull Rush, whew, killer stuff. He's a great artist that's became more well-known in America over time. Another great band, Southern rock band, Wet Willie. This is their debut. They are like a soulful Southern rock band. Southern rock, I'll have to do a video on it. But all the major bands, they all have a different flavor. And these guys were more soulful. Great band. Well, The Who, I've done a bunch of videos on The Who. And this is their debut, My Generation. One of many versions I have of this. This is one of the deluxe editions, and I got that Uber Deluxe up there box. One of my favorite bands, and I will do a video on them, Wishbone Ash. And this is a CD. Great cover. They always had great artwork. back in the original days. But this is a great debut album for sure. Wishbone Ash, Errors of My Way, one of my favorites. Now, I mentioned the Jay Giles Band. The lead singer, Peter Wolf, has gone on to a great solo career, but unfortunately not very successful commercially. But artistically, he should have been huge commercially, because these albums are just kick-out great. And this was his first one, Lights Out. Lights Out. Slash, slash, slash. This is a really good record. And hidden on this album is a track right there, Pretty Lady. It's a duet with Mick Jagger, uncredited. But you clearly hear Mick on there. Check out Pretty Lady with Peter Wolf. This was a one-shot deal, but this is great. The Wreckers, Stand Still, Look Pretty. Country rock. Great stuff. Love that album. The debut from Yes. Another band that, in my opinion, got better and better and better. But this is an interesting debut with bonus tracks. As did this, the debut from Neil Young. He got better and better and better. To me, this is one of his least better records. But got to start somewhere. Talked about the Good Rats. Well, if you're on Long Island and you loved Zebra, and this debut album from Zebra is still one of my all-time favorites by anybody. Tell Me What You Want, One More Chance, Slow Down, as I said before. Who's Behind the Door? Take Your Fingers From My Hair, Don't Walk Away. God damn it, every song to me is a classic. Zebra, their debut album. And one more CD, Warren Zevon, his classic debut. What a great artist. And this is just, well, where'd we go? There you go. What a kick-ass album this is. Love it. Couple more that I might have missed, because sometimes I have like these box sets that have the albums mixed in them. Like this is Black Sabbath. You got to talk about the first Black Sabbath album is great. I mentioned Paul Weller. Well, The Jam's one of my favorite. And this, like, they have these box sets where they have every album, but they just mixed in there. The Creedence Clearwater box up there does the same thing. So I have their albums, but just not like separately. And just hold on, just a couple more on vinyl that are not on CD for me. I don't know if you ever heard of Christie, Yellow River. What was this, around 1970, maybe 71? This was a huge hit. Yellow River, Yellow River. I still love this album. Christie, Yellow River on vinyl. I'm a huge fan of Southern rock and Charlie Daniels. Now, Charlie Daniels had 3 solo records before he formed the Charlie Daniels Band. And this was the debut of the Charlie Daniels Band. And this album is absolutely amazing. It's called Way Down Yonder. This is their first pressing. So I was into that band at the beginning. Don't believe me? Go check out on YouTube or Spotify. I've Been Down. Give this fool another try. You will thank me, because this is amazing, serious rock and roll. Charlie Daniels Band. Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell, what can you say? It's an all-time classic. I'm not a huge Meatloaf fan. Even back then I wasn't, but no denying the power of that album. And The Outlaws, great debut album from them. There goes another love song. Henry Paul left The Outlaws and put out Grey Ghost. And this is one of the all-time great debuts by anybody. I love this album. Every song on this album's killer. So Long, Grey Ghost, Fool and Crossfire. If you like Southern rock, country rock, check out Grey Ghost from the Henry Paul Band. Another Southern rock band, Point Blank. Another good record. Kind of a mid-level Southern rock band that never made it big. Another mid-level band that never really made it big, but very influential. Stars. Not Southern rock, of course. More like Bon Jovi. Got a big influence from them. But this is great stuff. Stars is a kick-ass band. Great. I saw them open up for Styx on the Grand Illusion Tour, and they were great. I'm a big fan of Rick Wakeman, his debut solo record, The Six Wives of Henry VIII, all instrumental. And here's one that you never heard of and may never see, and it's not on CD, but a guy named Michael Wendroff. Never really made it big, but he was on Buddha Records, and this is just a personal favorite of mine. So there you go. How long was that? 39 minutes and 200 albums? That's not so bad. I hope it wasn't painful for you. Hope this brings you back. As a fan, you'll be like, oh, I haven't heard that album in a long time, but these are 200 or so of my favorite debut albums. And like I said, in a couple of weeks, I will do a video out of these 200. Let's call these the nominees. I will pick maybe 15 or so that are the most influential debut albums for me. But at least you won't then say, well, what about this? What about this? I just showed you I love all these albums. Thanks for tuning in. Please hit subscribe. Please check out my other videos. I don't do any editing. It's pure passion for me. I've been a student of classic rock since 1973. I have a database, a huge collection, and it's just in my blood. So I hope you're enjoying this. Thanks so much again. Please leave comments. Don't be afraid. Constructive criticism, I'm all for it. Thanks so much again. Most importantly, stay healthy, stay safe, and enjoy great classic rock. Take care.